Good morning, traders. This is Shane Scott, the moderator of Newsware's Trade Talk. At Trade Talk, we're providing you with the up-to-the-minute news on the market, along with the facts, themes, and short-term trading ideas for the day ahead. Joining me today, as always, is Bill Olson, our trade anchor who brings over 30 years of institutional trading knowledge to our program. Let's go ahead and get things started with our markets update. U.S. futures are slipping this morning with S&P futures down 0.64%, Dow futures down 0.01%, and Nasdaq futures down 1.65%. Inflation concerns once again have investors concerned, fueling a sell-off in U.S. bonds and sending Nasdaq futures into another sharp decline. 10-year treasury yields have climbed above 1.7% for the first time since January 2020, and the 30-year rate has reached over 2.4%. Along with a drop in Nasdaq, Tesla has slumped in premarket. The Federal Reserve's willingness to keep pumping support into the economy and sufficiently let it run hotter has spurred bets on inflation, sending market expectations of price pressures to multi-year highs. Elsewhere in markets, oil slipped after U.S. crude stockpiles topped 500 million barrels, and the International Energy Agency said global supplies are plentiful, and the dollar is ticking higher. What is causing decline U.S. markets is boosting sentiment abroad. Over in Europe, automakers and banks led gains, and over in Asia, Japan's topics jumped past the 2,000 mark for the first time since 1991, while the government's bond yield rose. Bill, what are you seeing as far as market updates?
Shane, I've been paying close attention to the S&Ps all morning, and they just continue to display weakness. I was watching the European Open. They opened up big higher, and then they started to sell off. They came back a little bit, but, I'm still concerned here. There's a persistent theme here, and that's really the rising yields. And you see it causing weakness in big tech firms this morning. You heard from the Fed yesterday. The U.S. economy is really headed for its strongest growth in really since 40 years, since 1984 during the Reagan administration. The central banks guys are really pledging to keep their foot on the pedal to make sure that they continue to provide support to push this economy stronger. They're okay with inflation going higher. You can always whip inflation by raising interest rates, and they're not going to be raising interest rates this year. Maybe towards the end of next year or 2023, but you're looking for easy money for a long-term out, so that is a positive. You do have the weekly jobless claims coming out this morning, and that drop in claims could make the S&Ps move a little higher. I'm watching oil. Oil prices are off 1%. That push to 70 really has lost momentum, but oil futures are really going to be range bound between like $63 and $68 a barrel for WTI ahead of the next OPEC meeting. So you got to keep an eye on that. And then I'm watching earnings. That's where my bread and butter is.
Well, let's talk about earnings. We had a big beat from Signet Jewelry. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, Signet Jewelry, they delivered a 61-cent beat on higher revenue. There was a number of good quality earnings that have recently come out. The one, we were watching yesterday, ACN, they delivered a 13-cent beat on higher revenue. And Five Below, ticker FIVE, Frank Indio, Victor Edward. This is one, been chatting about for the last few days. They delivered a 9-cent beat on higher revenue, and they delivered positive guidance. The stock, I actually saw the stock trade up to 214 yesterday, which, was above the 10%, straddle price that we were looking for. These guys pre-announced that they were expecting to have a really good quarter in January. They gave you their EPS announcements. They gave you their estimates for revenue, and they delivered on the high end of the estimates, and they did a good beat on the revenue. And that news report came out in early January, so they still had time to increase the revenue. That's why I was so positive on Five Below. I was reading those historical news items. Dollar General, ticker DG, David Grace, they missed by 10 cents, but they delivered higher revenue. So Miller Herman is the other one that I was watching. They delivered a 7-cent beat on higher revenue. However, in the report, they said the demand environment is uncertain, which caused the stock to pull back after the earnings announcement.
Do you have any insights as far as upcoming earning announcements?
Let's talk about the two big ones, FedEx and Nike. FedEx is priced for a move of 5.8%. when they release this afternoon, and Nike is priced for a move of 4.25% when they release this afternoon. FedEx is kind of interesting because they're expected to produce solid revenue this quarter. The real key is going to be the margins here. I want to be looking at the ground operations. I hear that the CEO of their ground operations is set to retire, and I know that FedEx initiated a major layoff in Europe this quarter, which may be seen in the EPS figures. But they really did do a lot of business. They're the ones doing a lot of the shipments of the COVID-19 vaccine. So it's really hard to kind of bet against FedEx, but you got to look at all the factors going into it. Nike, they have a great model. I only see one analyst out there that's predicting them to miss on earnings. Everyone else seems positive on their model. So, and they're priced, as I said, for 4.25% move when they release this afternoon.
And what are we seeing as far as economic reports today, Bill?
Jobless claims coming out at 8:30 this morning. Then we also have the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index, and at 10 a.m. we have the leading indicators coming out.
Well, moving into our morning's critical insights, starting things off with one on AMC Entertainment, ticker AMC. The company announced last night its plan to have 98% of U.S. locations open by the beginning of March 19th, which is tomorrow, and more than 99% open by this Friday. AMC's share price is up 4.35% in pre-market. Other news on openings, we got Six Flags, ticker SIX, which has announced that it's reopening its Six Flags Mexico and both of its California parks that will be opening to members and season pass holders on April 1st and April 2nd, and to the general public on April 3rd. The park plans to operate at reduced attendance levels in accordance with the state reopening guidelines for theme parks, and they're going to be utilizing a reservation system. The park will also have several new hygienic and social distancing protocols. Six Flags share price is up 0.26% in pre-market. Another park reopening, same exact thing they're going through as Disneyland, ticker DIS, which plans to reopen both of its California parks on April 30th. And they're bringing more than 10,000 of their employees back to work. And the hotels of Disneyland Resort will also be opening April 29th with limited capacity. Disney's share price is down 0.26% in pre-market. One on Boston Scientific, ticker BSX. Boston just received FDA approval for its hepatocellular carcinoma treatment, TheraSphere. So Boston's share price is up 0.82% in pre-market. In other news, Revolve Group, ticker RVLV, has jumped 3.5% in pre-market to $54.40 per share following B of A's upgrade to buy. One on Apollo Strategic Growth, that's ticker APSG. The talks they've been having with Vista Equity Partners over their potential $15 billion merger has been halted, and talks have stalled due to the market's condition for tech companies. One on Coherent, they're at it again, ticker COHR. They've received a new acquisition proposal from IIV1, that's ticker IIVI. That's bettered its most recent offer from Lumentum, ticker LITE. Coherent is now giving Lumentum the chance to revise its offer before terminating the existing merger agreement. Coherent is up 3.19% in pre-market on that news. Last one for me, PPL, ticker PPL, is set to acquire Narragansett Electric from National Grid, ticker NGG, for $5.3 billion. National Grid share price is up 0.38% in pre-market. Bill, what are you seeing as far as this morning's news?
Shane, I break my news down into event-based alerts and sector-based alerts. You know why? Because that's how you catch hot headlines. That's how you remember these things for the future. And sometimes it's not going to have the move today, but when you remember, a positive, estimated earnings or, some news events, it's going to lead to an increase in the stock price, maybe towards earnings. And that's kind of why I use these news alerts. I'm looking at my FANG alerts this morning, and Google, this is kind of interesting. Google is planning to block cookies. Cookies are those web trafficking tools. This action is really designed to help ensure privacy. And as we know, privacy is a big concern on the internet. You have multiple governments coming after Google saying, you know what, you need to allow users privacy. So Google is responding by, trying to block cookies from being displayed on their website. The problem here is that the Justice Department is now concerned that this move is going to hobble its smaller rivals. They can't win. It's positive news, but to hobble or to lower increased competition, I think they're off the mark there. Facebook, let's take a look at Facebook. They're introducing some new penalties for these interest-based forums called groups that are flagged for violating its community standards and saying to curb a product that played in a high role in the protests of the Capitol riots in January. Amazon. Amazon has really expanded into telehealth services nationwide. It's opening it up to other companies, and this is the latest sign that the e-commerce giant is really going to continue its ambitious plans in the healthcare sector. My Dow Jones 30 alert, Apple, I see that the media is reporting that they're going to be announcing new and faster iPad Pros next month in April. Boeing, a ticker BA, apparently the FAA has stripped Boeing's authority to perform pre-delivery safety checks.
Wow.
That's kind of hard for Boeing. I noticed some interesting option headlines that have come through. Ticker SQ squared, Sam Quinton, the 30-day option implied volatility is at 57. And you compare that to the 52-week range of 48 to 137, and you can see that Square is kind of trading undervalued right now. Overstock.com, that's ticker OSTK, Oscar, Sam, Tom, Kilo, their 30-day option implied volatility is 98, but their 52-week range is 85 to 214. Again, seems undervalued. Apple, their March implied volatility is at 35, but April's at 33. So you're not going to see much movement here, it seems like. And this is compared to the 52-week range of 25 to 87. But you got to keep an eye on it for, after the month of April. I think you're going to see the vol start to rise in Apple then. My retail alert hit on L Brands. L Brands is making a number of board member changes. Now, normally this isn't a significant deal, but this time around, the two board members that are not standing for re-election are Les and Abigail Wexner. Les Wexner is one of the founders of L Brands. So, he's going to step down and he's no longer going to be a board member when that shareholder meeting happens in May of this year. Ross Stores, that's ticker ROST, Richard, Oscar, Sam, Tom. Deutsche Bank just made it a catalyst buy idea. And this is heading into the May reporting season following the stock's relatively underperformance so far this year. And Kroger, ticker KR, they were added to Deutsche Bank's short-term sell catalyst list. They're kind of thinking that the potential impact of COVID costs are going to last longer than anticipated, and the continuing digital growth is really going to impact their profitability, which is why they're putting the short-term sell idea on Kroger. Intel, this is another catalyst watch. It's not really retail, but on a catalyst watch, Intel got Citibank opened a positive catalyst watch on Intel, and they actually boost their stock price target to $65 a share this morning. Okay, so in terms of my dividend alert, Starbucks, ticker SBUX, they declared a quarterly dividend of 45 cents per share. ACN, ticker ACN, Apple, Charlie, Nancy, they declared a quarterly dividend of 88 cents per share in their quarterly earnings report this morning. And Dollar General, ticker DG, David Grace, they raised their dividend to 42 cents this morning. In terms of events, Western Digital, that's ticker WDC, William David Charlie. Yesterday, they released their first 2-in-1 flash drive for moving content seamlessly. And this afternoon, management is holding a flash technology overview at a virtual event. Now, the virtual event doesn't start till 4 p.m., but that could be very interesting. And Nautilus, ticker NLS, they're hosting a virtual investors day today that starts at 12 p.m. That's ticker NLS, Nancy, Larry, Sam. And let's talk real quickly on Micron earnings next week. The stock's a little higher than I would like to be before I take a position in it. I honestly wanted to see it under the $90 a share. But when I look at Micron, I noticed that there's a DRAM exchange note that was published. This is a monthly update sheet for the DRAM industry pricing. And they said forward DRAM contract pricing expectations rose 7 to 8%. So it's kind of interesting that could be a boost when Micron release earnings next week.
Moving into our trade talk picks for today, I'm picking Boston Scientific, ticker BSX. Just like I spoke earlier about, it received its FDA approval for its carcinoma treatment, TheraSphere, and it's a pretty unique form of a treatment. It's the only one of its kind, really. Boston share price is already up 0.82%, so I think we can see some positive momentum from this, and we can see a bit more today. Maybe it'll move a little bit lower in the early morning trade, but I think as the day moves on, this is going to be something that drives it higher. So Boston's my pick. What's yours looking like, Bill?
I'm thinking Western Digital, ticker WDC, William David Charlie. I'm really impressed with this new flash drive that they came out with, and the management conference that they're going to be holding could be a shot in the arm. Again, the conference doesn't start till 4 p.m., so you have to wait. You have all day for weakness to see to wait for that target price to hit. But I think you're going to see a run, later today and tomorrow in WDC. So I'm looking to kind of get in the $69 range. It's currently trading 70.5. I think it could go a little lower, but I want to pick up a position in WDC, midday and maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and really wait for that announcement to happen this afternoon. And I think it could be positive for the stock.
Well, moving into what's hot off the press, this is the news that's hitting the tape as we speak that will be moving the stocks today. Let's go ahead and look at our newswire alerts, look at the headlines streaming in. Bill, which are the ones we should be letting traders know about?
Deutsche Bank, ticker DB. Deutsche Bank reportedly sees a 20% increase in first quarter investment banking revenue so far. Here's one on Charlie X-Ray Paul, CXP. Investor group says they're making a buyout offer for Columbia Property Trust, ticker Charlie X-Ray Paul.
One from Google, ticker GOOGL. Google plans to create at least 10,000 new full-time jobs this year.
Procter & Gamble, the ticker PG. Procter & Gamble is kicking off a multi-year partnership with Hanes Apparel brand, ticker PG.
Interesting move from Kathy Wood's ARK. That's ticker ARK. ARKK. They're using yesterday's weakness caused by the news of Amazon's Care launch to buy more shares of Teladoc.
Here's one on Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J. Script data indicates volumes are below expectations.
One on Bally's, ticker BALY. They've just become a designated authorized gaming operator for Major League Baseball. Anything else for you, Bill?
No, that's all I'm seeing this morning.
Same here. That's going to do it for what's hot off the press. But traders, keep in mind you can receive the same breaking stories we do simply by subscribing at newsware.com. Check us out for a free trial today. It's definitely going to up your trading game. Lastly, we're going to move into our scoreboard, talk about how our picks did from Wednesday. I had Accenture, ticker ACN. It opened at $263.53. and hit a few highs and lows for the day before ultimately closing higher at $264.27. But this was an earnings play. And so the stock, the real gains came this morning up to even this moment where now the stock is up to $277.02. So a big leap, an extra 4.82% since the close yesterday. So it's even higher now, $278. So this is still going up. It's a really good move for us. It's still spiking higher. So we saw about between 5 and 7% gain from this one. How's yours end up doing, Bill?
I did Starbucks yesterday based on that investor day that they were having where they announced the dividend increase and other items. The point is that with Starbucks, you didn't want to buy it at the open, as I mentioned yesterday. You wanted to wait a little bit because that investor conference was not starting till 1 p.m. And it just happened that at 1 p.m. it hit the low for the day, and from there it jumped to $1.50, which beat the 1% target that we set out for ourselves. So it was a good call. You just had to time it right, and the timing of the meeting. So if it's trading lower into it, and they're only gonna say positive things in their own meeting, stock will likely tick higher, which is exactly what happened.
Nice. It's all about the timing. So that's going to do it for us here at Trade Talk with Traders. You know what to do. Let's get out there. Let's make some green.